toys or Nintendo games. Oh Santa, my wish is the same. When you get to Hawaii, please make some room up on your sleigh. Bring a lei for my mom for all to see, and a hula girl for me. Santa, 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 bring a hula girl this year. If you get no more room up on your sleigh, then put her on a reindeer. So when you get back from your big luau and pause of Waikiki, don't forget to bring back a lei for my mom and a hula girl for me. Oh Santa, when I see her dance, her smile makes her shine, as her beauty puts me in a trance. Oh how I wish you were mine, as she dances gracefully. A hula girl indeed, as her hips sway along and her hands tell the song. That's the hula girl for me. Santa, 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 bring a hula girl this year. If you get no more room up on your sleigh, then put her on a reindeer. So when you get back from your big luau and pause of Waikiki, don't forget to bring back a lei for my mom and a hula girl for me. Stocking was custom made, it's the rarest in the world. And when Santa comes by, you'll know it's mine, 'cause it's shaped like a hula girl. As she dances gracefully, a hula girl indeed, as her hips sway along and her hands tell the song. That's a hula girl for me. Santa, 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 bring a hula girl this year. If you get no more room up on your sleigh, then put her on a reindeer. So when you get back from your big luau and pause of Waikiki, don't forget to bring back a lei for my mom and a hula girl for me. Don't forget to bring back a lei for my mom and a hula girl for me.
Aloha, Kamaka Brown, Sandwich Island Social Network Program Director with the Aloha Friday show with the Sandwich Island Social Network. You were listening to a holiday musical makana, a beautiful CD produced by the Sandwich Island Social Network called Mele Kaliki Maka, CELI, which stands for California, because all the artists on this CD of Mele Kaliki Maka live in California with connections to Hawaii. And you just heard the great Ki Ho'alu Slaki player, Patrick Lindeza, with his own correct composition of Hula Girl Santa. You can Venmo at Kamaka-Brown. $10, I will send you that CD. And of course, all of the proceeds from the sale of that CD go to the 501c3 organization known as the Sandwich Island Social Network. Another way that you can support the Sandwich Island Social Network is to become a sustaining member of our ohana. And you can do that as a streamer right below at patreon.com/Sandwich Islands 808. You too can join our ohana and become a sustaining member to help us continue to do the work we do in the community here for Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart. Today's Aloha Friday show is brought to you by Chord International, where you can find out-of-print, hard-to-get Hawaiian music. And we'll be talking more about chordinternational.com and our good friend Marianne Chord, who is the She's got the good energy and all the driving force behind Cord International. Aloha, my name is Kamaka Brown. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And the Aloha Friday show is a series of great conversations, fun conversations with folks who have a part of our island community, connections to Hawaii. Sandwich Island Social Network is a nonprofit organization serving Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart, and tax-deductible donations are always gratefully accepted. We want to remind you that all of our friends that are watching on Facebook Live, this is a live, interactive, chat-driven show. So your questions, your comments throughout the show are welcome. We love to hear from you, and we already have some of our ohana already jumping in. We love it. First of all, let's welcome right now from his digs in Northern California right now, none other than award-winning musician, brother Ken Emerson. Aloha, Ken. What's up?
Aloha po alema.
Nice to have you with us. And you also had your Elio over there, your four-legged. You had a couple of them running around. Yeah, two. Keeping you company, keeping you warm. That's so great. We already have our ohana jumping in. Marty Burns saying, Aloha Friday kako. See, here is Elaine Hoffman. Happy Aloha Friday. Aloha, Elaine. Mahalo for joining us. Oh my goodness. Here is Jan Emerson. I think it's your ohana, huh? When she Kenny. Not too many people can call you Kenny, you know. Only your family can call you Kenny.
Yeah. How's it in Oregon? All right.
She's in Oregon, up in the Pacific Northwest. Aloha. Here's all the way from Houston, Texas, by way of Nanakuli. Tim Lopes jumping in. Aloha, brother Tim. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Ooh, Jerry Gilgren. Aloha from Ohia, Lehua Studios, Ke'au, Hawaii. Oh, Ke'au. You know what, Jerry? We're going to meet over at Kenny's Pancake House. I'm going to order the Portuguese sausage, the corned beef hash, and I like doubles for the hamburger gravy on the site at Ken's. I see you over there.
You like chili pepper water with that?
Get the chili pepper water. You know you fine dining, bro, when you go to one restaurant and they bust out the chili pepper water.
Yeah. Why, man? Yep.
Here's Syra Abraham. Aloha, Kamaka, and Ken. Looking forward to watching and listening to you today, Ken. Welcome. And Jerry says, grind them, uncle. That's they doing, KL. They grind them. And if I missed some of that jumped in, I apologize. There's Nancy. Nancy says, Aloha kako. And let me see. I think I got, pretty much. Dan Young says, Aloha from Aptos, California. That's up in North.
Trumpet player.
Oh, nice. We get all the gang checking in today. Want to make sure that they get a chance to. Here's Glenn Colburn. Hey, Ken. Yeah. So, Ken, you know, I have been for several months chasing you down. You've been very elusive.
Yeah, it was another interesting summer, you know, with fires again. And I am building a place in Oregon. I'm building a studio up there.
Nice.
And I bought some property there about 30 years ago. So
Cool.
Time to develop it a bit.
Yeah.
Where
Where in Oregon? Where in Oregon are we talking about?
Sun River. It's a beautiful area in Central Oregon in the Cascade Mountains.
Sweet. All right. So let's see here, Ken. Born in San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
Your dad's in the Navy. You're 15 years old. Boom, Kanani. You end up on Ever Beach.
Yeah.
What was that like? 1968. 8.
Yeah, well, Oahu back then still didn't have any freeways. Can you believe that? Well, and it was still old Hawaii. It had that vibe, and I loved it. And I was already surfing, and playing guitar, so I sort of just fit right in. You find your way. You got to learn pidgin, though.
Did you did you find that to your ear when you heard some of
Yeah,
the
I was like, oh boy, we're gonna have to learn something here because what did he say?
oh
That's what a tick kind, the
yeah.
tick kind.
Tick. That's a tick 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 kind, man. Whoo, man. So here we go.
Oh
This
boy,
is you and your brother.
that's the Emerson brothers when we first started.
The
The
orange
plastic ukuleles.
with your plastic ukuleles. Wow.
Yeah, everybody had a plastic uke then.
Of course. Of
Now you
course.
notice I'm already throwing something at the camera, and I've got a lampshade on my head.
Uh,
This is
you you already
19.
were wearing one lampshade for a hat. You were
I'll tell you something about the lid. That was in 1955.
wow.
Yeah.
So now this is at what age you are at this point?
This is 8 years later. This is about 1963. This is in Monterey.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful place to live. And that's the first guitar the family had. It was an old Stella. I
Wow.
think lots of people had Stellas. You can buy them from Montgomery Ward, I think.
So
And
that
hey,
was
in those days, you didn't just go out and get a choice of strings. It was Black Diamond was the only brand.
that was it. Black Diamond.
Black Diamond teak set. Very strong strings, so you develop your hands early.
Right away, those calluses start to.
Yeah, you know it, man. But yeah, we got started pretty early, and my older brother and sister Jan, who chimed in there, they were playing, and this is pre-Beatles, so we were playing the folk stuff and Sippy Wallace and Bob Dylan and all that, and learning finger picking, which I really consider that to be my real foundation because I learned to play fingerstyle guitar, which is slack key it's an alternating bass and the melody. So that helped me to start playing some of that early stuff, Freight Train and all that.
wow.
Yeah, good
Okay.
foundation. So yeah, off and running at what, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old. Yeah.
So by the time you hit the island of Oahu, you fairly you're playing different kinds of music, and what are you finding is being played at that time? What's on the radio or people are playing?
In Hawaii back then?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was before they called the Hawaiian Renaissance. So you know what? You were kind of hard fit to find Hawaiian music, even on the radio in the 60s. And we would hear about these guys though, like Leonard Kwan and Slack Key. It was always talked about, like, yeah, this Slack Key guitar, and I was interested right away being a guitar player, but we couldn't really find too many people playing it ever.
Hmm.
So it was still sort of a mystery in the early days for me up there. And of course, when you're in high school, you're listening to the popular music at the time, and back then it was well, for me in the Bay Area, it was all that early Jefferson Airplane and Moby Grape and
Moby
all that.
Gray,
Oh yeah,
Gray Slick.
yeah. And we were able to, they had afternoon shows at the Avalon, and there was a venue and where I lived in the East Bay that you could go to early shows. So even as younger, we could go and see these bands. So that was really great.
So on the radio in the 60s, it was either, contemporary pop, rock and roll. You had K-Poi, you had KKUA, you had Choral. I think Kapoi was the big station at that particular time, if I'm not
That's
mistaken,
right. And
right?
that Hendrix, all that was just new. Bands like Cream and all that. And I remember when we first got to Eva Beach. As far as my local friends, they were really into the Rascals and soul music. And I go, oh, you ever heard of Moby Grape? They're like, what's that?
Wait, bro, grape juice. Yeah, we get grape juice, bro.
It's a band. But yeah, and then it started catching on, and then of course the band started coming out, and that was great because I remember the old Civic Auditorium in Honolulu. I saw the first Led Zeppelin tour. They came through and played at the Civic. Jefferson Airplane. They were started coming out after, right around that time that I moved there. And then they started playing it on the radio. And the next thing you know, a lot of people are listening to that.
Yeah, there was a whole series of shows called Show of Stars. The Show of Stars series, and they were bringing in all these mainland groups in the 60s to Civic Auditorium, as I remember growing up myself in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the 60s, it was still, the Renaissance hadn't started, but it was probably going on, but no one was really recording yet. Gabby and Atta, they had done the Slack Key records and all that. And that was just pretty much sort of like considered like part of a folk music for Hawaii. But boy, by the time 70, 71, 72 came along, the Casimeros are recording, and it was happening.
Yeah, Peter Moon.
Yeah, it started happening, and then of course I left late 70 and came back here, and I knew it was happening there. So then we were hard to find the music here for a while, but then it started, Panini Records, and and it really took off. So
Mhm.
I think my brother and I secretly planned to come back anyway. So we did after I did some college. And
Your dad had quite a library
oh
of
yeah,
uh, an assortment of different kinds of music, right? Which was
oh
pretty
yeah,
amazing.
he was in the world music before they called it world music. He had everything in his collection from. He brought back Hawaiian 78s when he was flying back from Asia through Hawaii in the 50s. And I grew up with those records, Genoa Keawe, all of that, as well as the other music he had. And he had interesting stuff. My dad had field recordings um, from Lomax, the famous Alan Lomax that went out in the field with these uh, faraway places and recorded all these native. I wish he had done Hawaii. He did do Scotland, which my dad had a great collection of stuff, and real folky, old timers talking story and singing these a cappella crazy things, traditional things. It's very cool.
Which was very unusual, right? I mean, normally, teenager growing up, you're listening to all the pop stuff, and you're listening to the trends on the radio, the rock and roll, and all the things that are
Yeah.
happening.
Well,
But
I remember talking to Robert Casimiro a long time ago, and we were talking about, I said I grew up with these old records, and I mentioned Perry Como, and he got all excited. Goes, "Oh yeah, those are the real guys." Frank Sinatra, and yeah, we had all that stuff. And those big console walnut, 8 feet long with the
size of a sofa.
big speakers in it. Well, it was analog, and the music sounded so much better to me. With a vinyl record, and of course, vinyl's made a comeback.
It has.
That's the sound.
Hmm.
Yeah, the studio that I'm involved with in Monterey, reel to reel recording with Gary Souza. We have an analog setup as well as digital, and we do.
Wow.
I'm always on the hunt for a 1-inch Ampex tape. It's a
Just
1-inch 16-track machine. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, we've got that. We got that stuff going on down there.
the sound must be so amazing coming off of those acetate, those tapes.
It's rich. You can't It's not the same as digital. Never
Mhm.
will be. Yeah. Of course, at some form it ends up digital, so we can get it out there. But yeah, we prefer recording to analog tape. We can. Yeah.
So now you're in the islands. You're starting to see that little by little there's more of a movement toward uh, recognizing some of the old time players that are there. And
Yeah.
how did that connection happen for you?
It's funny. I moved back and went to college in Cabrillo College, south of Santa Cruz. And the Santa Cruz flea market in the mid 70s, this is like around 74, that was an amazing place because I was finding I was looking for old records, not just Hawaiian, but blues records and jazz. I collected jazz. Then I kept finding Hawaiian albums, and I go, wow, this is Saul Ho'opi'i, I go, that guy's, and then we were buying those for like a nickel a piece, They're very collectible now. So I just started with my brother and he came out and we started collecting these records and instruments and finding all kinds of stuff. I found a Manuel Nunez ukulele for $5. That was from before 1900. It was a very old, like a museum piece. So that was fun. Yeah, it was fun to do that. And of course, we were playing, so like we started trying out some of these tunes, and lo and behold, we fell in love with it again. Hawaiian music.
Mhm.
So we started playing, and I remember our first gig was at a place called Lulu Carpenters, and I think the venue's still there in
Wow.
Santa Cruz. And this is right around the time that a guy named Bob Brosman rolled into town, and he really took it as far as the national guitars. But yeah, that was our first gig. So we thought, well, maybe we could present this in Hawaii and have a cool thing. So, and then, out of the blue, my sister calls us and says, hey, this KKUA radio is having a song contest called Homegrown, right? So, so we got, I mean, there's nothing like you have now to record. So we borrowed a quarter-inch tape machine and recorded the song. And I believe we sent the tape. We had to send the tape in, and that's how we got on that album. But they did pick us for that record, and that just snowballed after that. It was great. What a ride.
So you did enter the homegrown contest, the first one from KKUA,
I think it was the third album.
third album. Okay, all
It
right.
was in 1977, 78, somewhere around
Wow,
that time.
wow.
Yeah,
Well, here's a picture of you and your brother
there we
in
are.
'79.
Yeah, that's at the Ala Moana Americana. We had a showroom there. It was really nice. We were there for about a year and got the thing rolling. And we were right next to the Casimeros there, actually. So
Wow.
we were the contrast.
You always have to have a contrast.
We used to sit in. That was fun. And I remember when Robert and Roland went off island, the Olamana would take their place.
Mm.
And I would always, with Robert, and I would come over there and jam with them on my steel guitar. It was really fun.
Wow.
Play Hawaiian Cowboy.
Yeah, Wally Suinaga is my classmate from Roosevelt High School, class of '65. So used to go down and see Wally when he was playing with Jerry, and yeah, back in those days there, that was fun. That was fun. We were talking earlier. You have under your umbrella of talents, you're playing the steel guitar, and you have uh, obviously a number of different models that you do
I do.
enjoy playing. You've got a favorite steel
Well,
guitar?
my brother and I, when we got back, in the Union alone, I think there were two listed steel guitarists, two or three, and that was Max. And I thought, wow, that's amazing to me that there's not 50,
Mm.
And we were perpetuating the acoustic styles, and we collected guitars. This is a good example. This is a 1928 National. It's acoustic, but it's obviously metal. It's a resonator guitar. Got a really distinct sound. This is what Saul Ho'opi'i used. So we thought, well, you know what? It's important to sort of preserve that sound. So that was one of our main missions, was to keep this style and sound out there. And of course, once we met Gabby, those guys, they just loved it. That fact that a couple young Hollies were interested alone in doing this and then actually, playing. So that was a kick. Gabby invited us to play with him a number of times. I was so lucky to perform with him. We played at the Bishop Museum Festival. They used to have those concerts out at the Waimanalo Quarry. That was great. This is during the Waikene Waiholi days.
Wow.
It was a stronghold, but they treated us very well. And Gabby just got a kick out of it. In fact, he played this uke. Some of that finish is gone from when he played Pololo.
Well, you've got that beautiful guitar. Would you give us a little sample? Yeah.
Finger picks on, but that was for you, Bobby. Bobby Vigano.
We were talking about Bobby earlier.
He's a great guy. Bobby reminds me of all the old timers. He's exactly from the same mold.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
You and I were talking earlier about the history of the Hawaiian steel guitar. And we were talking about Joseph Kekuku and Sam Nainoa. And
it was discovered by accident, Kamaki. Joseph Kekuku was walking along the small gauge track up there in Laie and found a piece of metal, and it was a little boulder spike. He liked it, so he picked it up and he said he dropped it, and it made that funny, what is that? That cartoon noise. And so when he got home, he started figuring it out. But here's the interesting thing, is that the slack key guitar tunings really allowed steel guitar to happen, because playing it in a standard Spanish tuning, you don't get a chord, you see. But with slack key, the chord is already there. So it was a given. It was a marriage. It was meant to happen. Here's a bar. I collect a lot of stuff. Here's one of the original bars from the pre-1920 days.
Oh my!
You get with your instruction manual, and it's not a cylinder. See, it's not
flat,
round like you're used to seeing these. This one's a special bar, and see, it's like a flat piece of metal. Oh, where's my camera?
Right there, yeah.
This one's cool because it has, in case you don't know, it's a Hawaiian guitar.
Hawaiian guitar.
Bar, yeah. And they made here's a guitar that's similar to the National. They both have hollow necks. The Weisenborns were a popular style back in those days, even in the teens. And he'd play with this thing here. It's a wood, though. It has a different sound. So more of a wooden sound. Yeah,
beautiful. Beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful.
Well, we were talking earlier the other day about how the Pan American Exposition of 1915, all the Hawaiian bands came out. The building's still there at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, and evidently there was a live volcano in there.
Oh. I was saying, did they get Did they get Madame Pele's permission to have a
I hope
volcano?
so. Yeah. No more earthquakes, please. But that really did, it really did like kick off a craze at 1915. And boy, all the Hawaiian musicians were so well received, and the dancers, there was hula. And yeah, I think a lot of them got recording contracts because the next thing you know, they're all out on Columbia Records and RCA, the 78
You and I were
disc.
talking that I guess maybe it was about 2 years ago. You and our mutual friend and a great musician, Kimo West, came
Oh, yeah.
to the Los Angeles area with your Slackers in Paradise tour. And there was a young man there, Lono Archibald, who was so
Oh,
excited to meet you and Kimo because his ohana, he traces his bloodline back to Sam Nai Noa and their cousin, Joseph Kekuku. And I think you had a
right.
chance to meet Lono and his mom and their family. That was very cool.
Yeah, it's great. It's like we're the ones that are still around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Uh,
So let me see. Dan is saying Lulu's is still on Pacific Avenue. Still
wow.
there.
Gee, maybe I can get a gig and start it all over again.
Tim Lope says, have you played with my
Oh,
uncle, Sonny
oh,
Chillingsworth?
he's your uncle. That's fantastic. Yes, I have. In fact, the other day I was going through some old pictures and found some pictures I took of Sonny at the Tahiti Nui on Kauai back in the '80s.
Oh my.
I got a really nice picture of Sonny, so I'll have to find that. Sonny was great. He was great. He had the best laugh in the world too.
Oh yeah. You mentioned Tahiti Nui. I lost several brain cells at Tahiti Nui. And if anybody goes and they find them, please give me a call. I still haven't found those brain cells. Too
Just
many
put him in an envelope.
too many greenies, too many green bottles there at Tahiti Nui, drinking
So
Hinano. Oh,
we both grew up on Oahu in the '60s and the '70s. Um, you mentioned that you were living on the North Shore for
I was brought up on the North Shore, Sunset Beach, Wailua, Haleiwa. Yes, yes,
fantastic.
yes.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
And
Well, I've got some distant family that from Haleiwa. Uh,
nice.
we're still tracing it, but the Emerson name goes all the way back to Nathaniel. And there's actually an Emerson Street in Haleiwa, over by the bridge there. I,
Emerson, that's right.
I think it's still there.
That's right. I remember there is. I never made the connection. Oh, bro, I never know you lived there. Oh,
We're still tracing stuff. My great great grand, I think my great grand uncle, they said they were going to immigrate to Australia. Now, can you imagine? Back in those days, you could only take a boat, right? So they
steamship.
sailed to Hawaii. They sailed to Hawaii. They're there for a while. And they sail all the way to Australia and decided they didn't like it. So they sailed back. It probably took a couple of years out of their life.
You sent me this, Ken, and I thought this was pretty fascinating. So this is Hawaii current top 10 album.
Oh, yeah.
What year are we looking at? Probably what? 70s.
79,
70?
probably early 79.
Uh-huh. So these are the top 10 albums in 79, 80. Number one was Portuguese Washerwoman by Frank Dilima. And I'm a Portuguese. Okay. And
That's
then
great.
Honolulu City Lights.
I call that vindication.
And then the Casimeros, Roland Robert, Repringer Crab Dreams,
Oh, rap. What a
Nohelane, Mackie Fury Band,
hey,
CNK, Life's Different Now, and number 8 on the top 10.
a bullet. A small one.
Small Bullet, the Emersons, Ken and Phil, Mountain Apple Records. Wow.
Well, rap's up to there twice. There
You
we
see,
go.
Poi Dog and Crab Dreams. Hey, Russell, you get pencil. Okay, so
Those are the greatest times hanging out with those guys, I'll tell you.
um, here's
Yeah.
Susan Good to see and hear you live today, Ken. Aw, thank you for dropping in and joining in the conversation. Here's my buddy Kimo Williams. How's it, Ken? Loved
Oh,
your lap steel work on Kimo Williams' album.
you
Brother
got it.
has.
That
He
was fun.
is.
Yeah, we recorded over at um, Chemo West place, Jim West house, and boy, Chemo Williams, what a great voice you have. I
He
hope that record.
does. Yes. Had an opportunity to work several projects with Chemo and solid musical background here. Talking about Kauai, tell us about this. These are some brothers
Oh yeah,
from
there
Kauai.
you go. Well, there's some of my favorite musicians right there. That's next to me is Kirby Keough, and next to him is Pancho Graham, and we all lived on Kauai for a long time, and we've always played together for I don't know 40 years or probably
Wow.
more. And Will Bernard on the right is a very good guitarist and a jazz guitarist, and he lives in New York City. But he can play anything. So we played the Red Clay Festival together, and we put that band together. It was a blast.
Sweet.
Really nice.
Here is Kim popping in. Aloha, my
Ken,
friend.
I met him on Kauai. I mean, on Maui. He lives in Oregon now. You know, Bill Keale lives in Oregon, nearby in Bend, Oregon. There's always sort of been a Hawaiian contingent around over there. You know.
Yes, got a chance to meet Bill, and then of course his ohana. The Michael Kelly is on Kauai, and a young
Yeah.
man, Matt Kelly. He was just here in Southern California, and talking about his cousin Israel Kamaka Viva Ole, and
Uh,
his uncle, which we'll talk about in just a second. Here's Thyra Abraham. There's Emerson Street in Makiki. I
hey,
lived
there you
on
go.
was close to Emerson. This Emerson family, the muckers get streets named after them.
There
My
you go.
time. Let's talk about. We're going to take a little break, and then I'd like you to share some stories about Mokeale
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
those days.
Oh, he
Um,
was amazing.
right here, the Aloha Friday show. One of our great sponsors are the Southern California Pacific Islander COVID-19 response team, and we have this message from them.
It's that time of the year again, holiday season. And this year, it's more important than ever to keep our friends and family safe during this pandemic. We can now protect our children with youth vaccines for ages 5 through 11. This represents another turning point in our fight against COVID-19. So enjoy your holiday season. Stay social distancing, mask up, wash your hands, and be sure to get vaccinated. A message from the Southern California Pacific Islander COVID Response Team.
Indeed, yes, indeed. Across the nation, Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders are being disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And so the Southern California Pacific Islander COVID-19 response team aims to provide information and resources to help our community stay healthy and safe. And that is pacificislanderhealth.org.
Mm-hmm.
Attention all you adults. Get the COVID vaccine. As we get back to school, it's important that we mask up and vax up. We want to play with our friends. For more information, go to pacificislanderhealth.org. Give it a shot.
To get the shot, there's pacificislanderhealth.org, and look at that palaka mask brought again. On palaka. pacificislanderhealth.org. That's the place to go for more information on what you and your ohana can do to protect yourself. And mahalo Pacific Islander Health Organization for supporting the Sandwich Islands Social Network. And we're back, and if you just join us, hey, where you been? We've been having a good time over here. We've been we paddling the canoe forward here, and let's see. Tim Lote says, what about the Nanakuli brothers, Gabe? Nanakuli Nanakuli's son's brother Gabe. Familiar with those guys at all, Ken? Nanakuli's
Uh,
sons?
yeah, boy, got to try and remember stuff. It's a long time ago already.
Yeah. We were talking about Moke'ale and your time with him and stories about Uncle Mo.
Wow, I love that man. Well, what can you say? Full Hawaiian, Ni Hao family. Uh, Skippy and Israel's uncle. Um, we did some gigs with the Makaha Sons with Israel and Skippy days. Boy, that was something else. The time, and I just wished it all could have lasted longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, boy, we did. There were remarkable things that happened when you were hanging out with Mo Keale. We played the Merry Monarch in 1980, and we were on the Big Island. And Mo and I decided to do a little side trip, and we went to Halema'uma'u, and we went to Kilauea, and we're standing at Kilauea looking into the crater there. And he was telling me about how he was there with some friends when it was erupting, and they says the fountains were like 2,000 feet high. Try and imagine. So he was having a great memory there, and we were standing there, and I go, I swear this happened. Standing there, I said, "Oh, you get all kind of some pretty rare birds around here still. Some native birds, like, uh, the eevee." He goes, "You want to see a eevee?" I go, "Yeah." So, and there was a rail around a wooden rail around where we were, and the lehua blossoms, and one just showed right up. It was amazing. An eevee bird. I'm like, I saw that. So,
Wow.
so Mo was also a Eevee whisperer.
Yeah. Little known fact
Yeah.
among his many talents could call the EEV.
We went to Hulehe'e Palace, and George Kainapau was the curator after Auntie Iolani Luahine. And, we go in there, and he was in his, well into his 70s, but he had a ukulele in his office there, and I go, "Hey, you mind if I get my guitar and we jam a little?" So we sat on this koa bench with me and George Kainapau, and I'm playing steel guitar, and he was playing his ukulele, and his voice was still there. It was amazing. He sang in falsetto. Wow, those are moments.
Yeah. Wow. Hulihe, Hulihe, Kona, Kailua Kona, Hulihe Palace.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Now,
there were a lot of oh man, there's so many memories. Just I remember when Alvin Isaac Sr. had his 80th birthday party, and it was at some Chinese restaurant in Kapahulu or somewhere in old Honolulu. The people that showed up there for this jam were amazing. I was there with just everybody who was still around. All the the older guard. Wow. Yeah.
yeah. More recently, you and Kimo West, Grammy award-winning artist, were touring
Doing
together.
well. He's doing well.
He stays a couple steps ahead of the law. He's, it's,
Well, he calls it his day gig. He plays with Weird Al Yankovic, which is a great gig. And
yeah,
and to Al's credit, I've known a lot of different bands and players, and Al has kept his core band from day one. They've all been playing together since the early '80s, so that's pretty amazing. And when they were up in Oregon, I happened to be there, and we I went on the tour bus and entertained the troops my ukulele. But yeah, Kimo and I did a nice record, and we play together when we can, and we love playing George Kahumoku's Slack Key show. That's a great venue.
Wow.
So yeah, we hope to do some more things, but it looks like he's going to be busy next year. He's got a full schedule.
Yeah. You sent me a real beautiful video that I want to share of you and Kimo doing
Oh,
Ruby
great.
Tuesday. It was a Rolling Stone song from the 60s. And
There you go. We
I thought
call it
it's,
Slack Stones.
say what?
Slack Stones.
Slack Stone. So here we go with Ken Emerson, Kimo West doing a Rolling Stone song called Ruby Tuesday, and they call it Slack Stones. Here we go. Oh, brah. I had smoke and flashback. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah. You can't take San Francisco out of me, just like you can't take the islands out of me.
So that was a nice mash up of Hawaii and San Francisco with
Yeah, I arranged a whole bunch of Beatles songs also, and Rolling Stones, and we should probably do a whole record of that someday.
sweet. There's Susan. She goes, Slackers in Paradise rule.
Yeah, well,
uh,
it's a nice duo. we do two different slack key tunings. We mix it up, so the sound is always interesting. And I play steel. I also play like what I call slack steel. It's a style that you never really ever see, but I combined the right hand technique of slack key with the left hand technique of slack key or a steel. So you have like there's your alternating bass. Yeah. Steel.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
That's my niche to the world. Yeah.
Ken, you and I talked about the recognition of old style, traditional, classic Hawaiian music, and it was hard to get. Your father had a collection, and no doubt you had a collection of vinyl of some of the old school masters. A mutual friend of ours who I met back in, I think it was about 2007, 2008, was Mary Ann Cord.
Oh,
And she has Cord International. And Marianne is such a beautiful, beautiful person and huge heart. She is, along with Cord International, one of the wonderful supporters and sponsors of the Sandwich Island Social Network. And I do want to say, if you're looking for out-of-print, hard-to-get Hawaiian music, CordInternational.com is the place to go. CordInternational.com. I mean, they've got over 150 different releases, 400 artists, almost 3,000 tracks. Many recordings have been collected over the years to become part of permanent historical archives of many noteworthy establishments, libraries, museums, including Library of Congress, Japanese American National Museum, University of Hawaii at Manoa. And so if you are looking for hard to get out of print Hawaiian music, the classics, please go to CordInternational.com and check out the I would say choke plenty. I mean, the amazing catalog.
Yeah, that's why I was attracted to that label right away, because I saw all the old reissues they were doing. His heart was in it, and Mary, and they're still continuing, and I'm so glad. He put their catalog is amazing. It's worth just going to look through, because they have reissued all of the greatest of the old steel guitar and even ukulele, and they have a huge library of sound. I might as well promote this while we're here. I did a Slack Christmas record.
Yes, right there.
And that's on Cord International, and it's got all my old guitars on it. Here's another one. This is a 1930 style.
Oh my!
Beautiful Hawaiian scene etched on the back.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is from 1930. Palm trees on it. Another good sound. Good for blues.
Don't stop. That's beautiful.
The blues is in a lot of Hawaiian music from even back at the turn of the century. And all of the old famous steel guitarists back then all recorded blues music because it was popular on the mainland, So do what you do. Emshin. That's what Gabby called us, Emshin. Gabby was great. He was like my mentor, my go-to guy. He would say stuff like, Emshin, if you make a mistake in one song, don't worry, just get the ending. That's what they remember.
I say.
They remember.
I had a conversation with Willie Kay about 3, 4 years ago at NAM at the Anaheim Convention Center. And he was all set to bring to the mainland, to California, Southern California, the Willie Kay Hawaiian Blues Band.
There you go.
Right? And he was saying, they think the blues came from, down south, and all these African American. No, the blues started with, with Hawaiians. We was the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's so many old sides on the 78, so I'm putting together. My brother and I haven't recorded in a long time. We're gonna do a Hawaiian blues album. I've already got one sort of in a bag. I lived in a little surf shack in Kalihiwai, Kauai for 10 years, and I had a full-blown studio up in this little loft in this place. And it's now that it's COVID and we're not working, I've had time to finally start going through stuff, and I found all this great Hawaiian style blues steel guitar. So some of those tracks I'm going to save and use, and then I'm going to record some new stuff and record with my brother, and we'll do a real Hawaiian blues album featuring the old guitar.
One of our good friends that live out in Temecula, Mehe'ula Music, that's Reba and Jim Maraboto of Mehe'ula Music. They will be bringing the Willie Kay Blues Band. So these are the members of the Willie Kay's band that he never got to bring to Southern California, I believe in April or May of next year. I was just talking with them. They're really excited. Kaleo Phillips, who is the only artist that Willie signed on to his label, is heading up the band, and they're bringing a Hawaiian blues to Southern California. So looking forward to that. That's going to be fun.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to jam with those guys.
Wouldn't that
Well, I
be?
know Mitch Chang has this wonderful Southern California slack show that he does. It's a big venue, and I played it before. And I believe Chemo and those guys are doing that coming up. So keep an eye out for that. That's a really nice show. I think I sent you a picture. There you go. That was a few years back. I think you recognize some of those artists. Yeah, George Kuo, Sonny Lim, Ledward Kapana. There's choke players in there.
Yeah, Jerry Santos. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, so I highly recommend this show. Yeah.
That's good. Kim says, I love Uncle Willie. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, he lived on Maui. When I was there in the early 80s, I used to play at the Pioneer Inn. I went on a different tangent, so to speak. After Mokeali, I thought, what should I do next, Then I had this old musical history, and I met David Paquette, the jazz stride piano player, at a hurricane benefit after Hurricane Eva in 1982. And so I went over to Maui and started playing with him. We played at the Pioneer Inn, and that was a blast, And I met Willie then, and Willie he was young back then, but he was still just a force, a musical force.
That's a good description, Ken. He was a force to be reckoned with. He had his bandana on his head, right? And he'd be playing. And then at some point, he'd rip off his bandana, shake his head, and his head, woof, would come. And you knew all hell was going to break loose because he went from Ave Maria to Santana to Points Jimi Hendrix and Points. Amazing. Yep. It was amazing. What a wonderful moment to share with you today, Kim.
Well, thank you.
Just beautiful, man. Just beautiful.
It's been a struggle with the COVID, and I hope everyone's playing it safe. And get your vaccinations, get bolstered against it. I don't think it's completely gone, and we want to get back to normal, so we can all help by taking care of ourselves. And just everybody take care and live the aloha spirit.
Absolutely. Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you, Makan. Thanks, everybody.
Mahalo, Ken. Much aloha to you and your ohana up there and your two ilio that are bouncing around. You two pups. And we're going to say aloha right now to Ken Emerson, award-winning musician. And you know what? I wanted to share one more. How dare I? Because this was the here, Ken. I want please. Real quickly. Yeah, please.
That's Sonny Lim, and we get brought
Jeff Peterson, yeah.
Jeff Peterson, the Paniolo DNA there, and our wonderful producer
Charles, yeah.
Charles K. Brotman.
Mm-hmm.
Is it K? Charles Brotman put the whole thing together. And I borrowed that jacket from Todd Rundgren. And it was quite psychedelic. You got a lot of comments on that one. It was great to be a part of that first Hawaiian album.
So sweet. Well, aloha, Ken. Take care. We will talk soon on the Aloha Friday show. We're gonna Ken is gonna go to our virtual green room. Aloha and mahalo. Thank you everyone for joining us today on the Aloha Friday show. I'm amazed how quickly our time goes by, and we want to thank our wonderful Sandwich Island Social Network supporters who are sustaining members of our ohana: June Shibuya, Larry and Hetty and Duha, Jim and Reba Maraboto of Meheula Music, Catherine Bachnight, Marty Burns, Kay Bennett. They have joined our Patreon platform with monthly donations to help us continue to do the work that we do. And if you'd like to be a sustaining member of the Sandwich Island Social Network, we encourage you to do so simply by going to our Patreon platform, which is www.patreon.com/Sandwich Islands 808. And you can help the Sandwich Island Social Network continue to do the work we do. And we also want to acknowledge donations by Thyra Abraham, Susan and Roddy Gregory, Gene Dahlberg, DC and Tuila Maka Ena. All of your donations help the Sandwich Island Social Network continue to do and sustain programming throughout the year. We appreciate all of your support. And, I think today would be a very, very good time for us to, why not have some of the wonderful music of Ken Emerson kind of serenade us out. We say aloha no to everybody. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Aloha no.
I don't know, I could have dreamed it, walking through the sand. His hair was black as night, he looked like the man. The moon was up, the stars were bright, that hound dog is howling tonight. Shadows on Coconut Grove, moon shadows on Coconut Grove. Paradise hanging from the rear view, a hula girl on her rocking waist. I heard a voice from way back in the 50s, seems like only yesterday. It shook me up, chilled my soul. I ain't lonesome anymore. Moon shadows on Coconut Grove.